Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter, and today I'm going to show you how to re-ink your water-based markers. Here I have a cosmetic bag that I keep my markers in, my water-based markers, and I keep them in a cosmetic bag so they'll lay nice and flat, and both ends of my markers will stay evenly inked. I tend to get a lot of markers at yard sales, or sometimes I've bought markers and I don't know if they were old in the store, but they were just kind of dried out. So rather than throw them away, I decided to try to re-ink them. So I'm just going to show you. This marker is very dried out, and I'm going to show you the fine tip end. You can hardly see it all. You can't even see the fine tip end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to re-ink the marker, and all you need is a pair of tweezers or pliers. These are pliers, just my jewelry pliers, and I'm going to grip it. Let me get real close to the camera so you can see. I'm going to grip it right here on the fine tip end. This end will pop right off. See? And whether you're using La Plume or Whisper or Tombow or Stampin' Up, most of these will come off just by pulling them off with these pliers. Don't use your teeth. Your teeth will damage the end, and it could damage your teeth, which cost way more than markers to fix. So don't use your teeth. Use a pair of pliers. So then if you'll notice, inside the marker, there's like a pad of kind of cotton wrapped in plastic, and that holds the ink. So what you want to do is re-ink that. So you're going to be putting the ink right into that cotton pad or whatever it's made out of. So your basic ink that you're going to use, say if your marker was pretty new, you didn't use it much, but it was just dried out, you just want to use a mixture of water and glycerin and gum arabic. And I'm just using a little recycled medicine dropper that came with some kids' Tylenol to put about 3 drops in there. And I'll show you the products I used here. They are gum arabic. It's a watercolor medium. I use it in my glimmer mist just to make it, it binds it kind of. It also makes it flow better, so when you're trying to blend and you want those awesome Tim Holtz blend effects, you put some gum arabic in there. Vegetable glycerin. I get that at the health food store, and I use it to make clear embossing ink as well. So these markers will actually be a little embossable if you have enough glycerin in there. But since the marker really feels kind of dried out, I also want to put some ink in. So I'm going to make my own ink, and I've got a little ink started here from another marker that I refilled. And I need to add a little more green to it. So right here on my tile, I'm just mixing up a little bit of ink, adding a little bit more of glycerin in there for flow. Now that's a pretty color, and it's very close to that dried out color. If I paint it up here, you can hardly tell the difference, except that this is obviously brighter. So what I'm going to do is use a brush. If I mixed up a big pot of this, I could use an eyedropper, but since I didn't mix that much up, I'm just going to use a brush to load this up. And I'm just using a clean ceramic tile. Well, a portion of it's clean anyway, because I've been mixing up a bunch of inks. I tend to do all my marker re-inking all at once. And another thing I'm going to do, since the tips are really dried out, I am going to take the fine tip end here, and I'm just going to kind of roll it around in that ink to absorb some of the color, just to help to hydrate it. Maybe the little end wick here, get that in there. And I'm going to replace that on the end. I'll put it in with my fingers, and then I'll use my pliers again to push it down tight. There. Now, in addition, because it's going to take a while for that ink to get down to the tip, we can try scribbling it, see if any of it's made it down there. Ah! No, not really. I'm going to just soak up some of the leftover ink with the tip of that marker. Now, I'll leave this lying flat for a couple hours, and then it will be good to go. Overnight would be best. There we go. We got a much more usable marker now. And if you let it sit flat for a couple hours, it'll be perfect. Now this is a very light color, but you can at least see the mark it makes here, as opposed to before you couldn't even see the mark at all. So then let it sit flat for a couple hours, and your marker is ready to go. And this is a little sample that I made with a couple of markers that I had re-inked earlier today. They blend well, they're nice and vibrant, and best of all, you haven't thrown anything away and added more garbage to the landfill. And you've saved yourself some money too. And by the way, to make my ink, I just use dye-based reinkers. These are by Stampin' Up. So if you use a Stampin' Up markers and ink pads, you can just go ahead and use the colors that are already mixed. That would be pretty handy, but I don't have any of those, so I'm just mixing and matching. So thanks so much for watching. try fixing your markers before you throw them away, and you will be saving some money. Happy crafting!